las cicatrices invisibles. Bateys are densely populated, marginalized villages in the Dominican Republic, built around sugarcane fields. Residents of Bateys are mostly Asian Dominicans, Asian immigrants, or Dominicans that work in the fields. According to Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates, in the early 20th century, mostly during the U.S. occupation, which began in 1916, Haitian migrants began to settle in the DR to work in the fields that Americans expanded to exploit the profitable sugar industry. In the fields, the wages were so low that few Dominicans would do the work, so they imported tens of thousands of Haitians. Lechería is a community in Manawanawa, where the sugarcane fields shut down in the 1990s, leaving residents unemployed. This unemployment, along with other factors, led to the prevalence of generational poverty in this community. So what is generational poverty? According to sociologist Ruby K. Payne, poverty is, simply put, the extent to which an individual does without resources. These include financial, emotional, mental, and physical resources. Poverty has many facets and is more complex than is generally acknowledged. According to Payne, generational poverty is distinguished from situational poverty in that it lasts over 2 generations. It is not a temporary situation. It is the same narrative repeated over and over again. What does generational poverty look like in Lechería? As illustrated by Batey's first and only census, 18% of girls between the ages of 12 and 18 have already dropped out of school. Moreover, only 15% of women between the ages of 19 and 25 have graduated from high school. And 80% of these women between the ages of 19 and 25 have dropped out of school. Generational poverty places these girls in situations where it is especially difficult to attend school. Impediments and complications like early pregnancies hold them back. Here, sisters Josefina and Maya demonstrate another defining aspects of living as a girl in Lechería: domestic responsibilities like cooking and cleaning. The aspect of living in generational poverty is often that of living as a second-class citizen, a member of the immigrant minority. Now, the Lechería is settled by a migrant population of Haitians. It creates a complex identity for descendants. It could contribute to a sense of marginalization. According to Henry Gates, Haiti's 20-year occupation had a profound impact on Dominican national identity. Once they freed themselves, many Dominicans did their best to reject everything about Haitians: their language, culture, and to some extent, their color. Here, Professor Gates introduces the important idea that marginalization is not merely physical, it is a mental state. Generational poverty in Lechería is largely due to a lack of documentation, limited access to quality education, and a high cost of living paired with a low income. These physical deprivations are then complicated by the state of mind they perpetuate. Lack of documentation contributes to generational poverty by limiting people's access to services crucial to their development. According to 17-year-old community leader Alexandra Sherry, a rough estimate is that only half the people in Lechería have adequate documentation. Alexandra's grandmother was undocumented when she moved to Lechería, which didn't allow her to finish elementary school, thus limiting her to low-income jobs. Alexandra says this is how generational poverty began in her family. She confesses, "My grandma used to say to me that it's like she doesn't exist in the eyes of the government." Limited access to quality education also limits people's opportunities and impedes personal development. In Lechería, adolescents need to walk up to 30 minutes uphill by dangerous streets to go to the nearest high school, which limits their opportunities and leads to low attendance rates. Furthermore, primary education is supposed to be free. However, in a 2005 report, the World Bank found that in the majority of countries, including the Dominican Republic, some kind of fee was still charged to families. This is what made many families in Lechería opt against sending their children to government-run primary school in the past. Quality-wise, education is also limited. In the 2012 Hopes and Dreams study, it was found that in the Dominican Republic, one family said that while teachers had once taught 5 days a week, they were not only teaching for free. If teachers are unmotivated to teach, students will be unmotivated to learn. Generational poverty is further caused by low incomes paired with an increasingly high cost of living, which limits families economically. As evident in the cases of immigrant girl trafficking, her grandfather said, before farming to require less investments, a sack of fertilizer that now costs about 2,000 pesos used to cost only 70 pesos. Alexandra from Lechería agrees with this claim. She explains that before, residents cultivated land to nothing and made a living off agriculture. But the government and industries started taking those lands away, and actually started to stop them. In a short documentary film about Lechería, the patrón, and one of the resident confirms this. She tells a story about how she became a sex worker in order to be able to provide for kids with food and shelter. However, the deep-rooted, underlying cause that defines this money as generational is the negative state of mind it perpetuates. This tension is especially evident in Lechería. Alexandra presents the case of forced marriages, which were a common way of arranging greater financial stability in Lechería until only a few years ago. She speaks of the emotional weight that this generation of mothers now carries. They spend their lives thinking that they don't have a voice, and then without meaning to, unconsciously condition their children to think the same. In a community that suffers marginalization, further feelings of psychological oppression can lead to a severely externalized illness of control and deeply ingrained learned helplessness. If children believe that they don't have a voice, they believe they don't have a choice, that they don't have control, that they don't have value. This continues to cycle. Alexandra also mentions the prevalent practice of domestic abuse in Lechería. She says parents feed their child. Physical abuse makes them critical. And it's still normalized in our community culture. Abuse by also parent further creates a sense of inferiority and self-worth. And attests to this as well in the documentary Project Lechería. She married at the age of 15 and fell down a spiral of abuse. Children being abandoned by their fathers, then trying to find money any way she could, steadily cursing us as grass. She says, I can wash, clean, iron, cook because that's all I was doing. They didn't inspire me to do anything else. This mindset is so deeply ingrained, narrative so common that it's difficult to change. How do you pick yourself up when you're carrying the weight of the world's untruths? How do you find the grace and grit to survive the world that constantly tells you you're not worth it? The repeated patterns of abuse and neglect cultivate low self-esteem. Households in Lechería to continue generational poverty are not daring to aspire to anything past it. This is not created by generational poverty because it's lived without associated crucial to their self-concept. In my research, I encountered various solutions implemented locally and internationally. Programs have attempted to improve generational poverty through improvements to girls' education, improved family planning, and economic services. However, none of these addresses the emotional core of the issue, rendering them incomplete. For this reason, the emotional empowerment of girls is a real key to generational poverty. It prevents the state of mind that perpetuates this cycle. An example of such a program is the Haiti Policy Press Network. The Haiti Policy Press Network protects and empowers vulnerable women so they may safely navigate the volatile, post-traumatic environments and recycle poverty. This program recognizes the value of emotional empowerment and two that strengthen community and sense of security. The Haiti Policy Press Network increased progress in regards to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, increasing a sense of safety, belonging, self-esteem, and socialization. Furthermore, this program uses theater to help girls verbalize their experiences in the aftermath of Haiti's devastating earthquake. Bringing up gainful experiences and teaching emotional intelligence through coping methods such as theater provides girls with not only an emotional but also creative outlets. A young girl in the program says, "This is the only place to feel safe. I can relax and be friends and not be alone." Project LDR is a program granting girls in Lechería a strong sense of emotional empowerment. In their short documentary film, Sarah Boyce, the president of Project Girl, explains, in Project Girl, we work to foster a safe environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. We're creating sustainable friendships based on trust, sparking chain reaction, Like the big policy girls, Project Girl cultivates that sense of community and excellence. And a real participant shares, and anything special. Here, I can do it. I must look forward and never move back. Project Girl facilitates the internal motivation for these adolescents, granting them a sense of control over the situation. Through participation in Project Girl, the girls are taking their incredible values, making them better to move forward in the world that's full of others. Slowly, learning to inspire to achieve their full potential. Slowly, their daily experience. At the higher 17. Kids used to call me ugly and crazy, but now I know that I'm a special and unique human being. Myself shares what she has gained from being a part of the Project Girl. She says, there is a time when women are gaining their power in society, when both voice now counts. I'm good for a lot of people, but most importantly, now I know that I'm good for myself. Emotional empowerment is the most sustainable solution to generational poverty because it allows girls both the tools to cope with their situation and the courage to actually take their changes. Hence, generational poverty at its core is a very human issue. Lack of documentation, quality education, and no one has contributed to the position of leukemia. There's overlooked emotional components. Poverty generates a state of mind and moves forward in this vicious cycle. Generational poverty has been tackled in developing countries where improvements in education, improved family planning, and economic incentives. However, generational poverty will never be solved without addressing its human essence, the core emotional conflict that constitutes it. It's to stop settling for quick material solutions and address the deeply rooted emotional causes of social injustices. Only this way can sustainability be ensured. In the case of Lechería, the most valuable solution we can offer is the emotional life of girls. Given the right resources to thrive, raising themselves up and raising our siblings on their. I'll leave you with this. Picture a young woman sitting under the Caribbean summer. Comes a small house in which a baby abuela and three adults live. Has worn out from washing and cats. She went to the Princeton school yesterday. And has taken us in her abuela. While her mother studied, she doesn't question why she was the one who stayed behind. Her friends know that all letters and weird keys. They tell her about these in chat society who can't see the big talk about the new girls in the city. The skateboard comes in suspension. The girl sees a room full of other girls. Braids also kept, but eyes breaks. She feels safe with these girls. After a couple hours sharing stories, laughing, engaging in honest conversation, she feels like she belongs. Fast forward a year, and countless jobs it. This girl only a search for in school. But she knows she holds her parents' value. On Saturday morning, you can now see the girl in the hallways, asking friends to come to the community session. This girl is now an age of change. The catalyst of a chain reaction. Thank you.
Many replicated studies have indicated that women use the single grade exchange agent for physical harm. The emotional poverty, however, I'm wondering whether you did any research on the effects of also educating boys and men in terms of their responsibilities to break the cycle.
I did not focus on research about boys and being educated about financial poverty. However, when I was in personal experience, in Project Girl, we did a workshop with boys and started on issues of gender equality. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff being done, but as I showed the quotes, women are the ones that are disadvantaged. So in this case, financial poverty. we found that it's more effective to focus on them and focus on their emotional parts. Yeah.
One thing that was really fun about your presentation was the photographs. And so the first question is who took the scholar leader credits, like untitled credits.
A lot of them were taken by Monica Stella. One of them was taken by Chunky. They were all students from school. Really from Manchester. Mostly the
Okay. So one thing that I found is on checking out like stories and how and like played in it. And also which I haven't seen like the short documents like what role do you think that honestly, like this isn't something like was a that is something I didn't know much about. And what role do you think social awareness needs to play in like how you stop playing out? Because I really think it's powerful.
As I said, I think the underlying root of everything is the core emotional state of mind that perpetuates societal. So pictures are a way of just sparking that in other people, sparking human empathy. Because when you see a statistic, sure it's significant, but you wouldn't see that if you go to Lechería. You won't see 18% of girls. You see the girl. And so that's what I wanted to show through pictures. Generate that empathy.
You live in you go to private school, it's a privileged society you live in, very nice situation. What motivated you to engage on this journey? But you've obviously, it's only a year past this presentation, but curious to me that you've been involved for some time. So what, how did this give you? How did this journey create you so that you can inspire some of the others to
The journey just community service in general or Project Girls specifically?
more specifically, bringing yourself in contact and spending what appears to be a substantial amount of time with this community.
My friend Sarah Torres and her mom visit there often. And they've been involved in the community for a long time now. And Sarah actually was the one that did the Batey census, and she told me about it. And we were talking for a while, we've been friends for a long time. And she told me about it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty surprising. When we saw the video Girl Effect in 8th grade, so all I could think about was that. About how the narrative of girls in the same country, 20 minutes past the city, is so much different than the narrative that we live. And so I decided to visit with her, and since then, we realized values that these girls hold. And we decided to do a summer camp so we could spend more time with them. And that's kind of how it all started.
And when was that?
Summer of 2015.
Can you describe the work that you're doing? So what I love that you use the slides, it gives us a real picture of it. But when you talk about creating a culture where the girls feel totally accepted and totally open to empower and build esteem. I'm wondering if you can share with us like an individual workshop, if you could choose one of the ones that you've done and sort of describe it and talk about what it did and what it accomplished.
One of my favorite workshops was when we did it at the summer camp, and we planned it like the night before, super fast. Like everything was just 3 people trying to do stuff, and sometimes it didn't work out, but this time it worked out really nicely. And we decided to do a self-esteem workshop because at the beginning, Project Girl was just focused on education and sex ed and all that. But we realized we need to forge a friendship with these girls that we do that. So we decided to do a self-esteem talk. And so we began by giving each other, every girl was given a sheet of paper with her name on it, and she pasted it somewhere in the classroom. And then the girls had to go around and write nice things about them. And so that was really nice. And the girls had to read their own paper again and again and read the things that people said about them out loud. And I think that was a really nice workshop because it was the start of like actually becoming like friends and developing that relationship. Any more questions? Yeah.
Do you plan to expand the workshops to other things or
Not for now, and I don't think anytime soon either, because what's good about this community is that it's close by, but also that we want to create sustainable change. So by going and doing a chat in every Monday nearby San Domingo, we won't really create a change. But by focusing on one community, we can make it sustainable by actually developing friendships with these girls and keeping in contact. And that sort of ensures the effect of everything.
So with that said, what is the plan for next year to keep things moving ahead?
So Project Girl was not a school club, and this year we decided to make it a school club for that reason. We want to make it sustainable. So next year, there's 20 plus people in the club, and we have 4 kids that are going to be our officers. I see a lot of them moving now. And yeah, they'll continue doing the workshops, and right now we have the summer camp for 2016 plans. So.
Can the officers who are in the room stand so we have a clear picture of the faces that we're talking about next year? One?
I guess it's only trying to
Okay. So this is the face. You guys don't forget that face. Do you hear that thing? Like that's what
I just, I'd like one spin-off question, if I may. I like that one because you'd like the inputs to expand, and I totally agree with you that you need to keep you'll dissipate your energy. Would it, however, be a hope that maybe other schools, other areas do you intend to promote your idea to other schools so that they could adopt their own practice?
We haven't reached out specifically to any schools, however, we have our social media, and we have a social media team especially for that because we want to create awareness and we want to inspire others to incite change. And so that's something we've been doing, however, we haven't reached out specifically to any schools, but that would be something interesting to do in the future.
You should make a startup game. Maybe it's
I remember you mentioned once that you didn't get a lot of effect on the workshops until you guys really like exposed your feelings truthfully also. A part of that, but I think it's a powerful tool to motivate people to open up. What other advices or techniques you can give for people that will continue your work here on the club in order to get them to really engage with the people that are created Cicatrices?
I think the main point that I want to make is that you have to make yourself emotionally vulnerable to like human connection. And actually not just go for community service hours or just go to play with the girls and have fun, but actually make yourself, like, open yourself up and let yourself become friends with these people. Because that'll make you go even more often, like, and you do even more change. So yeah, that's the one. Like, do community service not because it looks good or because it feels fun or because it's something that other people are doing. Do it because, not even because you want to give a service, but because you want to connect and you want to feel.
Rock.